Dan drew me peg 37, which wouldn't be my first choice of peg, to be honest. I think there's a lot more better pegs in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it can throw up on its day, but I feel like one of the biggest factors, especially in winter, is everyone parks their cars there for obviously for the draw and stuff. So there's a lot of racket, a lot of noise and stuff. So you're kitting up. There was another match, so there's still loads of cars behind you, like clanging their doors and all the rest of it. So I think that definitely pushes the fish out, without a doubt. So that obviously wouldn't help. But hey, it is what it is. You can't change that. So that's, you know, well, like I say, it is what it is. Not moaning, just establishing facts. So with that, you know, you use your head, don't you? So you think, right, I'm going to start on the feeder. Now you can chuck the left side of the reeds. Now for me, I just feel like 37 shouldn't really have a chuck. But hey, I don't make the rules. And chucking the left side of the reeds is quite an awkward chuck because you're chucking quite an angle. And obviously if peg 36 was in, for me, you shouldn't be allowed to chuck at all. Because you just wouldn't, you know, peg 4 chucks, 36 chucks, God, you'd end up arguing. It's a bit like 6 and 13 or 14, well 6 and 13 more so. You know, if you look dead in front of you, you end up casting in the same sort of area. So hey, sort that out between yourselves. Anyway, didn't have no issues with any of that anyway. But so started on a method feeder, a little tiny one of them, whatever that is, if you can see it on the camera. They cast really well. It's an ICM, little tiny method feeder. As you can see, I only do one take in my videos, don't do millions of takes. So 28 grammer, so cast that quite well. On my 11 foot MVR Maver rod, a 4000 reel, happy days. Little tiny 4-inch hook length, and started on pellets because I figured that, you know, catch F1s and potentially carp. So rang that across on micros, so just hinders, 2mm carp pellets, happy days. Had a couple of fish, had to wait a little bit for bites, and then it just sort of like died. Now I've been pinging the pole line with 4mm copping pellets. I like using copping pellets at Manor. They just take longer to break down, just a bit of a harder, durable pellet, rather than using conventional scretins. Now don't get me wrong, I use the scretins micros, which is the, like I say, the hinders carp pellets around the method feeder. I don't really like Coppins pellets for that. They're a bit too sticky and yeah, they're just not as good. So went on the pole, hardly any wind in that, so fished a really light rig, and just didn't. Well, I think I had a bite, but I had the float so dotted down so much, I wasn't sure if it was a bite or not. So anyway, struck anyway, and nothing was there. And I've pinged it all match and just haven't caught. I've had a couple of quick looks on it, because obviously if you're building it up, normally you would get an indication straight away. Didn't happen. And I don't think 40 caught on 34 on the pole. And Chris Newton next to me has fished maggots, and he's not even had an F1. He's had a decent bag of silvers, but unfortunately that was, you know, there was just too many big carp caught. So it on its day, maggots can work really well there, and there's some anglers that's caught really well on maggots, because you catch skimmers, roach, and obviously F1s, and maybe if you're lucky get a few carp chucked in as well, so happy days. But again, he suffered the same issue, loads of cars behind him and stuff, and I think that just forces the fish out, especially with it being so still. We're probably about 2.5 hours in. I've got Gary Watts freaking keeping me entertained and keeping me sane in his van behind me. And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I think I said, freaking hell guys, I don't even know what to do now. I just couldn't get a bite on anything. And basically just took a little bit of line off and just chucked it tighter against the island, which I was a little bit worried about because of the stick-ups and stuff. So you was worried you'd be chucking your method right in the stick-ups, and obviously that wouldn't be no good. You get snagged up, etc. And also your bait might be in a load of like weed and rubbish, which obviously I'd never find. Anyway, done that and just sat there, not sulking, but just thinking, gosh, I'm not sure how to get a bite. And then I've had 2 carp and 2 puts, one probably about £8, one about £10. So happy days. So this has almost put me back in contention now with the section. And then, cut a long story short, because I'm always to the point, I had 5 carp and 8 F1s to weigh 63 pounds just to win the section. But I was very lucky because one of my carp was 17 pound. We weighed it. When I netted it, I thought, gosh, that's going to be 16 pound. And then when I pulled out of the keep net, I thought, oh gosh, it's actually shrunk in size. And because I was last to weigh in and I was helping with the scales, I said, hey Neil, let's chuck that on the scales and see what it weighs. I said, I reckon it's about 14 pound. Chucked it on, couldn't believe it. It was 17 pound 4 ounce. And looking at the photograph doesn't really give it justice, to be honest with you, because it looks like it's whatchamacallit, a lot smaller. And I caught a couple of them on wafters. Used a 6mm wafter and used it at lasso, which is maybe not right. Because I know some people like to use like a bayonet or like like a spike. Anyway, I used the lasso. I've done it before. I'm not sure if it's the correct thing to do. So use the lasso. Looks neat because you can dig the line right into the wafter, and you know it's not going to come off. And then I just used a 18 carp power 2 hook, and that the fish were up to the bottom lip. So that tells me that is like coming off the bottom, which is good because there was quite a lot of like crap against the far bank. So I feel like if you used like a pellet or a sinking bait like maggot or anything like that, or a bit of meat or stone, corn, etc., I feel that might get lost. So obviously chucking that in, it's above the method or whatever you want to use. I think that is definitely key, and obviously been very, very patient. I don't think you can do 4 or 5 minute chucks anymore. Trouble is, another problem I had on 37, you got nowhere to go. You got like one hole to chuck really against the far bank, where some of the other pegs, like today, because this is videoed afterwards, this is in today, Sunday, you got like places to chuck. So say for example, today you draw peg 14, or it might even be 15, I'm not sure how Gaz is going to do it. You got quite a lot of bank to chuck to your left, because I think he's going to go 6, 14, 18, so you could chuck to the rope, because the rope's the boundary, so therefore you can chuck to 16. I don't agree with this, but hey, you know, I think you should only go halfway to the next angler, but my opinion and anything doesn't matter. So the rope's a boundary, so you can use that to your advantage, and obviously that would mean then if you're on a peg where you've got some room, then you would be able to search. The trouble is, yesterday I had nowhere when their fish backed off a little bit, which they obviously did, then I got nowhere to sort of chase them, if that makes sense. Because Cam's is destroyed the match, £102. Well, not destroyed the match, because that's taken away from Curtis. Curtis has had £80. But Cam's has done really, really well, obviously, because he's won the match. But his fish definitely did back off, and then consequently, I've caught. So yeah, happy days. Anyway, let's see where we get drawn. I'll catch you later. So those who don't know, if I can speak properly, this is peg 23, which on paper I suppose is a great peg. I seem to have a love-hate relationship with this peg. I either win the match or come last, and I definitely have more last than what I've had wins off this peg. Started on the rods, and I just didn't get no liners, no bites, nothing. I started on the bread, I had 2 7-minute-ish chucks. But on 18s, I had a carp first chuck on the method, so then I've chucked a method just off the far bank like himself, obviously to the left, and it's just sat there. And I just had no liners, nothing, and there's just been no fish moving around, and you can see where the fish are moving. You can see them topping out there by the milk bottles the other side of the rope. Just really frustrating with winter fishing. Not making any excuses, take the rough with a smooth, but I didn't feel I fished a bad match. Hey, if I fished a bad match, I'd just say, look, I've done rubbish. You know what I mean? But them fish just have not moved off that rope. And it's just frustrating, just don't know what to do really. Just sat here, just praying, really, hoping that rod's going to get pulled round like it did yesterday. But it didn't.
So just one of them days, like just sighing, getting frustrated. I mean, I did catch to my left pinging pellets in the end. I started doing that probably about 2 hours in. I just started pinging some 4 mils, and I've only had 2 F1s down off that line. But funny enough, I've had 2 F1s off each line. So I had 2 F1s to my left, like 16.5 meters, leaning towards Catherine, but nowhere near her, if that makes sense. Rope's a boundary, remember? And I was nowhere near the rope. And then I've had 2 on maggots at 13 meters and 3 skimmers as well. They're very small skimmers. And then don't know what's happened to them bring. And then I've had 2 F1s in front. So I've had immediately 6 F1s, 3 skimmers for £20. And basically I've just beat one. And I mean, lucky enough, there's only 8 in our section. So I got 7 points. Really, I should have 8, I guess. But hey, I don't make the rules up. But to be fair, he can't do anything else really, because there was 27, but unfortunately 2 people dropped out, so he had no option but to do that. Otherwise, it'd be a random draw. So I think that's the best thing to do. So that's not a criticism. And as you probably guess, I only do one take when I talk. So yeah, just playing this fish gingerly, on the pun gingerly. But yeah, it's been a very, very frustrating day, and I can't say that I am not disappointed with myself and the peg. I'm not sure exactly what I should have done differently. I think obviously should have persevered with the pole more. I don't know, having said that. Maybe ping maggots more, fish through the water, try and fish shallow, even though I felt I didn't really have any signs. You know, it wasn't like he's missing many bites and foul-looking fish. I mean, admittedly, this one is foul-looked. But this peg's pretty deep. It's a good, honest 8 foot deep. So I suppose it's the nature of the beast. Unfortunately, you're going to foul-look a few fish. So lucky enough I got this one out. I did lose one as well. I just pulled out. I think I pulled a bit too hard, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I did try a little maggot feeder as well. That didn't work. I fished that on an 012 and a 20 hook, which would have been a bit squeaky bum time if I would have been lucky enough to hook a carp. But I figured that maybe there was no carp in this area, so I was hoping to catch a couple of F1s on it, and that didn't happen. So yeah, just a bit frustrating really. Completely and utterly different day from yesterday. So yesterday I never had a fish on the pole. I don't think I even had a bite on the pole. And then today I had a bite on the rods. Not a liner, nothing. Which, as you can tell from my voice, is a little bit frustrating. Anyway, let's talk about the match. So Glenn Picton's won it on peg 20 on ash. He's had £120. He's caught on maggots. Shallow basically. He's caught a few on the deck, and then he's come out 4 foot and then 3 foot, so fair play to him. And then Chris Cameron was second overall. He's on peg 7 on ash. And then third overall was Neil McKinnon. He was on peg 5 on ash. You'll see all the weights in a sec, so I like to give the whole picture. Jake Newton won middle. Catherine next to me on peg 27 has won item pause, so it might be worth pausing. It's a £54 for, so fair play to her. Yeah, Jake Newton won middle at 23, £87. And then fair play, Ash fished quite well. Not great for everyone. That other side, that rope wasn't very good. As sort of standard, really. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video, even though I didn't enjoy fishing it, to be honest. But anyway, as always, next weekend, take care. Thanks, bye.